If we could set up a Truman Show scenario where Trump thinks he's president again, and the public send in scenarios for him to deal with, what would you suggest? A flock of genetically modified, hyper-aggressive geese is flying straight for the White House bent on destroying the last vestige of American greatness. Then send in a high-ranking official from the duty to convince Trump to take shelter in a newly constructed goose defense bunker. Only Trump is told of the bunker, and whenever he asks about anyone else, someone just tells him they're on their way. Nobody will be coming. While he is trapped in the bunker, slowly remove all the actors in small groups at a time, so it looks like humanity is losing the war. In the end, all the actors are gone, and he's left alone thinking the human race was destroyed by birds. I feel like you've spent time thinking about this scenario. It's the Canadian invasion plan. That's why. That makes sense. Those Canadians are mighty aggressive. A large, artificial object of interstellar origin enters orbit around the Earth. The occupants want to meet with him, and they are very curious about dining at fast food restaurants. I'd love to see him playing tour guide to people in alien costumes, explaining Crunchwrap Supremes, and why the McDonald's ice cream machine doesn't work. Things will really take off when one of the aliens starts flattering him, mentioning how attractive he is. The alien asks him to touch a seeming innocuous part of its body, and a fine mist sprays him in the face. An episode or 3 later, and it's casually dropped in conversation how Trump unknowingly jerked the alien off and got a facial. And they think it's hilarious, because when you're an interstellar traveler visiting a less advanced species, you can just get away with things like that. Not even people in alien costumes. Just get some Mexican people and tell him Spanish is the alien language. Might work better with Indians or Africans. Indian math instructional videos were just directions from space Indians to the Earth colony of India that allowed them to build the space tether that let us return here. The missing ingredient was an Olympic gold medal, apparently. Congrats on that. Allow us to give you the great gifts of our people. Chess 2. Anti-British force fields. And the secret to unlocking Bollywood physics. Apostrophe. Make the entire set on a slight angle, and not install handrails. This brings to mind the video of that absolutely sloshed guy trying to buy beer, with 2001 Space Odyssey music playing. Maybe we should do this for elections, put each candidate in a bubble and send in scenarios and have actors act as their team, etc. People vote on it and then they get eliminated if they suck at responding. That would definitely be an interesting way to do it. No promises. Just watch their reactions and subsequent action plans. The real life Kobayashi Maru. A Mexican moves in next door. Fun fact, there was a sitcom in the 90s about Hitler and Ava Braun living next to Jews. I don't think it made it past the pilot. It was called Heel. Honey, I'm home. And its biggest crime was being painfully unfunny. Spring cleaning for Hitler and Germany, winter for sweaters and pants. He's not president. He's in the running for president, facing off against a candidate exactly like him. Opponent directly quotes him in arguments without Trump realizing. Argues against his own previous positions and hates the guy. Second season due to a rolled, unheard of rule with completely equal voting, both candidates win, and play swaps is with president and vice president every month changing. Third season the other president is in a coma, and Trump has the option to off him and become president. Trump will off him pretty quick, so we'll have to think on our feet at that point. That's a start. Candidate exactly like him, Alec Baldwin, in his Trump costume, pretending to actually be Trump. Baldwin Trump takes credit for things that real Trump says. Attacks real Trump for arguments that Baldwin Trump has literally just made. Trump versus Trump. Baldwin Trump takes credit for things real Trump says. Can you just imagine the temper tantrum? Temper tantrum. First of all, I'd give him access to some art supplies and a talented clothes designer, and ask him to design the new official president of the world uniform for him to wear. So basically it'll look like C-3PO. What with all the gold it will inevitably have. Just like C-3PO, but much baggier. Nah, I reckon molded abs. Because he totally has them. He has a bit of a dad bod. He likes his steak after all. But he has abs, and anyone who denies that is a hater who gets their information from fake news. Of course he has abs, and the designer obviously saw them. Otherwise why would he have abs armor? So like Spartan armor? Tell him the only true way to stop hurricanes is with a massive wall of windmills. You know, it kind of saddens me that he never thought to ask if they could reverse the fins to just blow the hurricanes away. Seems like something on his level. Well, he did suggest nuking a hurricane, and that windmills cause cancer. Maybe if nukes cause cancer, then windmills can actually stop a hurricane. Nuking a hurricane, what the F for reals? Needless to say, this is not a good idea. Just let him roll. You can't write stuff like he pulls off. Seriously, like the whole McDonald's buffet thing. 4 seasons. Absolutely my favorite thing that came out of that show. I really wish the person that set that up, or at least a first-hand witness, would do a tell-all interview. Was the actual 4 seasons booked and some underpaid, overworked intern said F it? Good enough. Did Google somehow produce a landscaping company as the top result? What was Rudy's reaction? I would love to see a fly-on-the-wall style comedy drama show on those final days. Something like The Office. The moment where they get to the garden center and realize it's what they have to work with would be top-notch farce. I would tell him that Nancy Pelosi stepped down from House Speaker for health reasons, and that the Democrats have chosen Pedro Rodriguez, made-up person with the most stereotypically Mexican name I could think of. Then, tell him that Mike Pence had a heart attack and died, and so the speaker has moved into the job of VP. That's not how it works, but Trump's too dumb to know that. So now, Trump has to work every day with his new VP, who will let slip that he is an anchor baby, who will use lots of Spanish phrases, and arrange lunch from Taco Bell instead of McDonald's, and convert the presidential limo into a lowrider and otherwise behave in many ways that Trump associates with Mexican immigrants. That should be fun to watch. Great right from the start, but you really got me with the lowrider. You have to put lifts and a larku carriage horn on the limo too, just for the added stereotypical Mexicanity. I would make everyone who appears in the show with him have really oversized hands, and all the appliances, door handles, cups, TV remotes etc are designed for people with very large hands to use, and no one ever discusses their larger hands. If he finally asks wondering produce a statistic which states that 95% of the population have larger than average hands, it's completely normal. But if everyone is above average, then wouldn't that mean? Tell him that Kristen Stewart has infected 150 people with COVID coughing on chicken nuggets at a McDonald's and 26 of them have died since it happened yesterday. I want to see if his hatred for Kristen Stewart will win out over his denial that COVID is a bad disease, and I think the introduction of the chicken nuggets will lead to some interesting places. Especially if I create a fake Twitter sphere where McDonald's threatens to shut down forever over this event, costing thousands of Americans jobs. He hates Kristen Stewart? I won't even ask why, because the answer will likely be batshit crazy. Anyway, when she cheated on Robert Pattinson, Trump got really obsessed with her and kept telling Robert not to take her back. Robert Pattinson should not take back Kristen Stewart. She cheated on him like a dog and will do it again. Just watch. He can do much better. Interesting take. Mr. President. Wait, who is the dog here? Did she cheat on him like she is a dog? Do dogs cheat on people? Or is he saying she cheated on Pattinson like he is a dog? Do people cheat on their dogs? He has to put together one of those flat pack office storage boxes by himself. We could convince him it's an advanced IQ test. He'd brag about his mom chair for ages. Person, woman, mom chair, camera, TV. A global pandemic with a deadly disease. To make it a bit easier for him, I'll give him advance warning and have the disease start on the other side of the world. Say, China. Hell, let's have the disease hit Europe first to show that industrialized Western nations aren't immune from its effects. To make it even easier, I'll give him an advisor that's not only an expert on infectious diseases, but also politically experienced. To finish off, I'll give him a rabid cult-like base that will do whatever he says, no questions asked. On second thought, I think I made this too easy. There's no way he'd F it up. Hey, I've seen this one before. It's a classic. What are you talking about? This is brand new. Apostrophe. Just let him completely run with it to really expose the crazy to its maximum potential. Tell him he's in charge of every branch of the government and just see how absolutely wild Des gets in fantasy land. I'd start by telling him he needs to design the uniform for underground force. Why should I do that? Just in case the Malami attacks. Mr. President, I knew that. Apostrophe. I was just testing you.